Hey folks, good morning. I hope all of you are doing well. This is Rajesh Pentakota here. Today I'm going to cover some principles of AI coding for product managers. And I think we are at a very crucial juncture, right? AI has evolved so much that now there's a lot of power in the hands of product managers to build whatever they want. And we are at AI product managers are at a very central point because we have two very good skills, right? One skill is understanding user requirements. We understand the user requirements thoroughly. We understand the market dynamics. We have been working on ways and means to improve revenue for a company, improve engagement for a company. As a technical PM, probably we go much, much deeper into improving performance metrics and a couple of important aspects of user's journey, right? We have been on top of a lot of different things. And a lot of us have high level understanding of system design, right? Okay, what is a high level architecture? What does it take to build a scalable analytics engine? What does it take to build a scalable website or a gaming engine that caters to millions of people, right? So, a lot of interesting ways and means in which we have been driving the organizations forward. And oftentimes, we are in the space where probably there's no, our backlog list is so long. Often I was in a state when I was working with Flipkart, Walmart, or Zynga in the past, we had huge backlog, right? We have backlog of 100 plus items. And my engineering team barely scraps through 10 of them. The cost of that to the company is huge. And thanks to AI, the power is now in your hands to sort of launch something quick, launch something in the market, try to gather feedback very, very fast, and see if you want to put additional engineering strength to take it to a very huge scale, right? Having said that, you can also now debate that smaller teams are more than capable to launch something huge, right? As an example, I have been running CodePub AI as a solo founder, again, PM for almost 15 years now, worked with companies like Zynga, Flipkart, and Walmart, obviously managing millions of DAUs and millions of dollars in revenue. But last 1 year has been pretty fascinating and I've been pretty deep into AI, right? And I've used some of these AI coding tools like Claude Code or Cursor or other tools to sort of create an end-to-end website, which is CodePub AI. And in CodePub AI, which probably I'm going to show you very briefly, we'll just cover high-level aspects so that you can understand what a product manager can do with the right set of tools and in this AI world, right? Great. Let me go through CodePub AI website. When you log into CodePub AI, you got three types of websites you can generate. A simple website is a quick prototype that you want to build, something that you want to create on the fly and showcase to your team. Interactive website is something that comes with a basic database. So you need to provide your Supabase access token, or you're working on a Supabase platform right now. You may not even need to enter the Supabase token in the future, but effectively it creates a full stack website. And last one is e-commerce store, which creates an end-to-end e-commerce store along with payment gateway integration with Stripe, right? So this is how it looks. I mean, this again to show you guys the art of what is possible when a PM really goes deeper into executions and leverages right amount of AI coding tools and skills, right? I'll take you through, as we discussed earlier, we have built a couple of browse engines, event-driven campaign engines, and even the event-driven campaign engines, I think we have built in a span of 2 weeks, single person in 2 weeks. And I was trying to create a landing page for that using CodePub AI. Now let me see how that looks. What I did is I created a full stack website and then I wrote a simple prompt. I didn't like the initial layouts. I made a couple of modifications and then finally I landed in this particular page, right? Now when you see this page, it talks about, hey, this is my Simply SDK where you can in fact go in. It's like a mini amplitude where you have an SDK you can integrate with your main website and all the events get captured and later you can use them to target your customers, right? I can request access. When I request access, I can write my name, email ID, right? And then timeline, right? Maybe I need to integrate this as well. And then I asked it to make the form a bit dynamic, have a couple of additional elements based on what the user needs. I need smart cart targeting, and probably I was with a mixed panel before, and I have 100K events per month. I'll do submit request, right? Now, as you see, when I submit, the submission actually goes and sits in my Supabase account, right? So it's all full stack, completely integrated. And if I scroll to the site, you can see the documentation. You can see how to use Simply SDK, quick start guides, Again, core concepts, API references. What are the key use cases that you want to run through? Like, what are the best practices? Use cases, right? Welcome emails, cart abandonments, user activation. And again, this entire website is created using CodePub AI. Once I create the website, you can do a one-click deploy. You can attach your custom domains. You can also view analytics. Right? This is the browser-based SDK that runs on the site. Whenever someone goes and visits your URL, we generate basic traffic metrics, like how many visitors, which pages did they visit, how many audience came up, which countries are they from, how many sessions, what is the bounce rate, what is the duration. Again, all this created by one or two people within a span of 2 to 3 weeks, right? Beautiful, isn't it? What AI can do in this modern world. Now, let's switch some gears. Let me go back to the presentation and I will just show you. So, I think we have talked enough about a couple of what CodePub AI does. What I have now captured is what does this mean for you, right? I've been showing all this for you to sort of show you the art of what is possible. Now, what does this mean to you? What this means is with low teams, with low budgets, you can build very high quality products in very less time. 1 year back, none of this was possible. Now, almost everything is possible. But again, it's not so hunky dory that you write a single prompt and AI can create everything one shot. You need to have some basics, you need to have some good understanding, you need to have a strong discipline in terms of how to work with AI. And that's what I'm going to cover today, right? We're going to cover what are the patterns that I observed while doing AI coding, while building CodePub AI, while building a couple of these peripheral products that we talked about, and how you can benefit from my learnings over the period of last 1 year. So I split this into 8 high-level principles. Let's go through each of them individually. What are the foundations? How do I really do this, right? Um, when I come with an idea as product managers, we typically understand the user requirements very thoroughly. We write a very thorough PRD or a document so that we understand what the users are trying to convey. And we also sort of, when we read the document, we internalize some of those workflows and concepts and why we are doing what we're doing. The next step, given that all of your product managers, you know how to write PRDs, is all about how do you now define high level architecture, right? For this, you need some basic level of understanding of how high level system designs. What I typically do, given I know some basics of high level system designs, I go to GPT 5.2 thinking. I upload my PRD in terms of use cases, what I want to do, and I ask it to create a very high level architecture in terms of different component interactions. How does it work? The high level view, right? High level system design. And I do this for 2 to 3 days at a stretch. I don't just write a single prompt. I wait for it to give me something ad hoc and start coding immediately. I wait, I converse with it quite a lot. There are a lot of things it doesn't convey in the first iteration. So I have my own questions, I have my own doubts. What happens when we hit 1 million customers? What happens when we hit 10 million events per second? That's too high, but again, just for the benefit of doubt, right? What happens when an anonymous user turns up into a signed up user? How do we handle this scenario? That scenario. Typical product manager, yeah, right? But you need to do that brainstorming. You need to do that brainstorming so that your architecture layer is perfectly strong and sound. So first thing that I do, I brainstorm quite a lot with thinking model. I prefer GPT 5.2 thinking, but it depends upon you. Then what do I do? My second step is LLMs have stale data. I obviously need real-time data whenever I need an API integration. So I tend to depend quite a lot on Perplexity to get all the latest information. If I, let's say, want to integrate with a Anthropic API, an OpenAI API, right? Or some other API, or recent API, I jump into Perplexity to get all the recent documents or summarize the documents, and then now I have a high level plan, high level architecture. Before even that, I have a high level PRD, I have a high level architecture, and I also have the latest information on any of the external integrations that my engine needs to know, right? What next? I break them into logical parts. LLMs are super intelligent, but they have peanut sized brains, right? The brains are very small. They can't go beyond 200K context window. They claim they can go till 1 million, but the moment you go beyond 200K, the output quality deteriorates drastically. So, how do you manage this? Don't try to build the entire system in a single prompt. It's not built for that. We're not there yet. LLMs are not there yet. Then what do? You break an overall high level component into multiple small and sub components. Typical engineering, typical product principles in terms of problem solving, right? one-on-one problem solving. Now, let's take an example. I am building an analytics engine. What does it mean for me? I need to collect data from customer footprints. I need to then store the data somewhere for different purposes. One can be for logs, just to replay, just to look at the past data and validate if things work correctly or not. Another for streaming the live events onto the user's website. Another for probably consuming all these events and triggering my campaigns. Another for maybe analytics. I want to roll up at an hour level, at a day level, at 7-day level, things like those, right? So there are multiple use cases. So break it into individual components. First component probably is data collection, right? Only build that component. Then build the data storage component. Then build the analytics component, so on and so forth, right? Break it into as many tiny, usable, feasible, testable components as possible. And then you test them one after the other. And then you connect and then you make a full product, right? That is the third principle. What is the fourth principle? LLMs are very good at goal driven pathfinding, right? Now, what do I mean by that? If I say build me this analytics engine, it will definitely divert quite a lot. It will take quite a lot of time. It will take quite a lot of tokens. It's not token efficient. Then what do? You probably go in with a test first mindset, right? You always already had your use case document. You have your component definition. You know which particular component you're working on right now. Ask the LLM to create a lot of test cases based on what you want to solve. Customer data acquisition or customer data capture. That's your problem statement, right? Write a lot of use cases, write out test cases. One of the examples that I quickly want to show you and how I do it, right? So this was I think I showed you analytics in terms of how it captured in CodePub AI or event-driven campaigns. This is an SDK that we released recently onto the public. If you want, you can subscribe and you can start using. You just have to drop in a mail and we'll pass you an API key. But again, so this is an SDK that we have recently built. Now, for this SDK, when I was developing it, I needed to test it, right? This is a end-to-end mini amplitude kind of an SDK, which captures all the events, and then you can trigger campaigns based on those. Now, what did I do? So this is a live example of how I tested my SDK, right? I created this particular document with lot of examples, right? As you can see, I've got edge cases, I've got test cases, I've got trackers, I've got validation. There are a lot of things that, test case that I created even before publishing it. So ask LLM to create all these test cases. Ask it to be comprehensive, but at the same time, don't ask it to over-engineer, right? LLM tends to over-engineer quite a lot. So you have to be very, very, very about some of those. When you prompt it to say, hey, create comprehensive test cases, but don't over-engineer at all. So the fourth point is test first mindset. Okay. So we covered brainstorming with thinking models, the GPT 5.2, research latest documents using Perplexity, break problems into logical parts, as many testable components as possible, test first mindset, create all the test cases first before you even start coding the main SDK. Then now the fifth part. LLMs tend to hallucinate quite a lot, right? It it ideally should not touch the code that I don't ask it to code, but it tends to do that quite often, right? And there are two approaches to stop it. One is you always tend to plan on Claude Code. You do shift, you do plan mode, you discuss quite a lot during plan mode. You look at the plan, read the plan, verify the plan. Once you're all good, never do auto approve all the changes, right? Always do manual monitoring of editing, right? So it'll so when you select that option, you can see what the changes it is making and approve dynamically. But even then, there are a lot of changes that are possible. There are a lot of code messing that might be possible. So what do you do for that? You git push, right? Git is a beautiful, beautiful tool for you to leverage. It's free to use. Push into Git as much as possible so that you have as many backups as possible. Again, just like product managers, we advise to a lot of product managers to communicate quite a lot. Over communication is always good, under communication is very, very bad. Similarly, try to push to Git as much as possible. Now, how do you do that? You can either ask Claude itself to do it, or you can create a concept called hooks, right? Whenever it writes into a code file, you create a hook, post tool usage, do a git push, right? Test it out, do a git push. So there are a lot of possibilities in tools. I'm not going to cover all those today. That will make the conversation too long. But takeaway for you, do git push quite often so that your hard work is not wasted and LLMs don't ruin your time. What is the sixth point? Restart when stuck. This happens quite often, right? Often LLMs get stuck in a huge context window or pile up mess, and it tends to shift you in multiple different directions, which you never wanted to go. So what do you do then? Simply restart. Restart always works, right? Laptop doesn't work, restart it. Code doesn't work, restart LLM, right? But jokes apart, that happens quite a lot. 30% of the time, I tend to clear my conversation, I tend to restart the session, and it works charmingly well. The last 2 points are more about how do you use the context window more efficiently. I tend to create a lot of .md files. So whenever I take any major decision within the application, I capture those in .md files. For large code bases like CodePub AI, I think I have got roughly around 25 to 30 plus .md files with all important decisions captured over there. So whenever I start my Claude again, the new session need not read the entire code base, which is way too exhaustive. It only looks at these MD files and figures out the critical decisions and moves on from there. It's a very beautiful way of managing your overall context windows. But again, don't let this mess up your GitHubs. Don't let this mess up your Git repositories. So always add a git ignore for .md so that your GitHub repository remains clean and precise. And last point, context is the king. Don't try to dump too much information into the context window and expect LLMs to make magic. LLMs only amplify the skill sets that you have. So, you need to learn a lot. You need to stay on top of your game and use LLMs for only the required high quality context to make it work beautifully well. Make it work for you and beautifully well, right? Okay, overall, what does it mean for you? What are the key learning lessons? You invest a lot of time in brainstorming with thinking models like GPT 5.2, leverage perplexity as much as possible for real-time information, break a big component into multiple small components, work on one component at a time, test first mindset, create a lot of test case scenarios so that your LLM has a goal to chase, git push quite aggressively so that you don't lose your hard work due to LLM's hallucinations, restart when stuck, which happens quite often 20% of the time, mark down files as much as possible to manage your context window more efficiently and capture your important decisions. Context is the king, don't fill garbage. Fill LLMs with only the information that you need, right? I think that's all from my side. Again, one more. So based on all these principles at CodePub AI, we were able to generate 4+ production grade systems, including a full-fledged lovable type of a system, analytics engine, automation testing engine, browser analytics engine, and quite a lot to come through. All this done with simple, one solo founder with with couple of interns. And for managing all this, obviously we have got a lot of MD files, context files, so it's all fun. If you love this session, I think I would definitely encourage you to explore the cohort starting in March first week. Again, I'm still figuring out the cohort structure and details and further things like those. But at a very high level, this will be super, super beginner friendly. Any product manager, any founder who wants to get onto this bandwagon, use AI to expedite their work, use AI to build something usable, something production ready. This session, this cohort will be super useful for you. So I'll be personally handholding you to use Claude Code, teach you some of the design first principles in terms of component making, create a capstone project. You can pick your project and I'll guide you in terms of how to build, what to build. When you get stuck, how to unlock and all those things, and how to build guardrails around AI coding, right? So that AI builds a very, very cost efficient, token efficient system for you to create these systems, right? And also build guardrails so that you don't expose your API keys or security codes outside, and you have some of these patterns well baked in before you hit the production. So we're going to teach all this. It's all going to be about AI coding. And it's all going to be how you can leverage AI coding to take your skills to the next level. Hope to see you guys soon. And if you have any questions, drop a note to me on rajesh@codepub.ai. All right. See you guys.